my older
Oh.
kid. Maybe I need to go to the 12-year-old. Maybe that would
Yeah.
work.
Might need my 23-year-old to come over.
Morning, Kim.
Is that Dave?
No.
I'm not going to tell anybody. I saw Kelly barefoot in front of her house the other day.
Aw. Picking weeds.
She was an actress. I think she was in a commercial or something.
Okay, so let's see. So Kelly, love the vote signs.
Yeah, I'm going down today. We're gonna get a big banner of them in the firefighter, that auxiliary place they have across the street where we have the other one. So it just took a little while because they were out of town, obviously. And then I'm trying to catch up with Assad at the bank too, to have him do one there. So
Well, I'm
anyway.
going to have you report out on, because I think, it's just phenomenal. So
Yeah,
it's
that's fun.
perfect timing. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Those ones I accidentally printed. Our computers are set to print double-sided, so a bunch came out double-sided. But those
Oh.
might work at the fire
Yeah,
station.
actually, it's kind of nice to have them double-sided in a way for any of the businesses.
Businesses, yeah, because then they look good on the inside.
Yeah, some of them have been really smart and they've put ones on the backside. Like they put the ones like ever, which is sort of thanking their customers. So as people are leaving, they've done that. So
Oh,
they're
that's
thoughtful.
smart.
Yeah.
We can print some that way.
I know. It might be nice to do that. It's just always kind of hard to know like someone's
How they're going to use it.
Yeah. So anyway, but
That
I
might
think
be good at the Quick Mart too, because they've got kind of an area that has double-sided windows
yeah.
where people are walking by them.
Yeah.
Because
So-
you've got them up there. I know, like in the bulletin board area in front of that convenience store, I see the vote signs there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep that bulletin board up, but it's not the easiest thing to open and close, so it's not appealing to go put things in there.
Yikes. Probably black widows living in there too.
Okay,
No, it's not so much that. It's just a pain in the neck to
Yeah.
open and close it. And have
let's
to carry a ladder out and stuff.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so we've got Rich, Benedetto, Rebecca, Kelly, and myself. The only one that we're really waiting for then.
There it is.
Brian
just signed on.
Okay,
Wait,
perfect.
John-
So then
John
we're
and-
ready.
Jamie.
John and Brian aren't on yet.
All
Right?
right. I'll text both of them.
Amy.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Jamie.
Hey, Dave, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, everybody. Just a quick question for Dave. I received in the mail the tax bill for the Imagination Park. They're still
you
mailing
did?
it to us. That's
Okay.
okay. Should I drop it in an envelope at the town hall for you?
That'd be great. Yeah, we need to
Okay.
square that with the county. Yeah, thank you.
All right, no problem. Thank
Or
you.
if you want to just
Okay.
pay it, I don't care.
Okay, I think we've got just about everybody from EDC. If it's okay with everybody to start, can we start?
John's jumping on right now.
Okay.
But I think it's okay to start. He'll be on.
Okay. In accordance with the shelter-in-place order by the Marin County Health Officer, we're going to be conducting the town's EDC meeting via Zoom and via conference call. This meeting allows for public comments, and members of the public are encouraged to participate remotely via Zoom by clicking on a link or calling the number. And also, make sure that when you're going to give a public comment that you hit the raise your hand button. So I'm Jessica Rising, and I'm the chair of the EDC, and I officially call this meeting to order. We're going to start off with the approval of the meeting minutes from September 8th meeting. Were there any requests for changes to the meeting minutes?
I think John Wright was missing on the, because weren't you attending last month, John? I thought you were on
He
the.
was not.
Oh, you were? Okay,
Yeah, I was not last year.
Okay.
last month.
never mind then.
Okay, any other comments or requests for changes? Okay, then can somebody make a motion to move to approve the meeting minutes?
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Okay, and who would like to second?
Second.
Thanks, Benedetto. Okay, this is a time in the agenda where we open it up to open time
We
for
should
public.
take the vote.
Take the vote. You have to take the vote. Everyone has to vote on it.
Oh, thank you. Can I have a motion? Can I have a show of hands and vote for approving the meeting minutes? Anybody not? Okay, thank you. This is the time in our agenda where we have open time for public expression. If you're welcome to address the commission, or excuse me, the committee on matters that are not on the agenda, but we're not permitted to act on any matter that's not on the agenda unless it determines that there's an emergency that exists. Please limit your time to 3 minutes. And if you're a spokesperson for an organization, you're limited to 5 minutes. Elise, do we have anybody who is wanting to make public comment?
Sarah is here helping us with the meeting.
Okay, Sarah?
Someone let her.
No one has their hand raised. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is the town council has asked that I come and present an EDC at the upcoming meeting on October 27th. The plan is to present this group's accomplishments in the last year, and including like the median projects, the Wayfinder signage projects, and then all of the things that happened with the COVID-19 projects that were quickly implemented. We're also going to review a draft of our action plan that we've been working on for input from the council. So that's scheduled for October 27th. Are there any questions from EDC members at this point? No? Okay. So we're going to move forward on our action plan update. And the first thing that we're going to start off with is an update. We're going to start off easy with the agenda, the update on the parklets and the outdoor seating. Sean and Scott and Benedetto, how are the parklets and outdoor seating going?
House seating, should I talk or you want to
Yeah.
go ahead?
Give a report out. How are we doing?
Good morning, everybody. Just a quick thank you to Rich. He helped the Marine Council of Chamber of Commerce with the new logo. So thank you, Rich. You did an amazing job. Everybody likes your design. We start using them. So thank you on behalf of all the chambers. About the outdoor, I believe the big issue that was raised also recently at the meeting, the weekly meeting with the county officials between the chambers and the county, is about what's going to happen in winter. The outdoor as of now is okay. We can see in town, everybody basically is building or planning to build, if you want to call them parklets or just outdoor seating areas. And some of them are building very expensive, very fancy structures. It is the winter that is concerning everybody, and that's also why some restaurants have not invested yet too money or not too much money, is about how many walls would be allowed and how tall such walls need to be between top of the wall and any kind of ceiling to be still considered outdoor. As of now, our understanding, and sincerely was not clear from the county, everybody was a little bit confused, is that can be only 2 walls out of 4. That would not justify any restaurant to spend any kind of money if you have 2 walls open to the elements, let's say, considering how chilly some nights can be out here, you know, in San Anselmo. So that's now the biggest issue, and it's not just for San Anselmo, it's a county-wide restaurant-related issue. So I don't know if since last meeting, I don't know, Dave or Brian, had any new update from the county, but that's what, by the way, the Council of Chambers is pushing a lot. Is one of our top priorities to know what is going to happen. Or restaurants will not be able to serve outdoor, no matter how many, you know, space heaters you have. So that's a big issue about outdoor dining.
You know, thanks, Benedetto. I'll check with my sources on how that's going. They may not have that answer yet. It sounds like they didn't when you talked to them. So our Public Works Department and myself will push the county to get that, because people need to start getting ready.
Can I
And
weigh
3
in?
walls would be okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to weigh in on 2 points on that. Thanks, Benedetto. One is, I think I have no update on that, but I just want to sort of let people know, part of the challenge with this is that the county is now basically syncing in with the state, right? Initially, each of the 58 counties in California were having their own system, and now Sacramento's taking it back over. So I know at the county level, there's a reluctance to necessarily, you know, promulgate any sort of guidance if it in fact is going to be overwritten by Sacramento. So that's part of the backdrop. The other thing that I think this group should really think about is there has been, and I believe Jamie's on the call, I think there's a question about whether or not there should be design guidelines for our parklets in downtown, right? That is to say, to the extent that the town can't control what they look like, right? One has to be cognizant of the short-term challenges of businesses, and we certainly appreciate their nimbleness and willingness to innovate. But long-term, do we want to have some sense of how they might look? And then my question to this group is, where should that conversation live? It would obviously need to live in planning, but to what extent does this group want to be involved in this conversation? And the timing, go ahead, Jessica.
No, I was going to actually put it out to the members to ask them what they think, whether the EDC should be involved with design input of the parklets. Any feedback, any comments?
I can make a comment on that if you can hear me.
We can hear you, Brian. You've got the floor.
I mean, I think that there should be some general design guidelines. I don't think they should be onerous, because this is obviously, you know, I mean, you could spend a lot of money on a parklet. It could be permanent. You could have power, you could have plumbing, you could do all these different things, but I don't think anyone really has the money for that right now, or a few of our restaurateurs have the money for that. So, you know, I think you want there to be some sort of common theme, architectural theme to these, but you also have to be cognizant that you don't want to, you know, increase the administrative burden too much, and that you have to be able to put something up on a temporary basis on a reasonable budget. But I mean, I don't think we want, if you were to look a couple years down the road, if God forbid, if we're still dealing with COVID, I don't think you want to have a whole sort of mess of different styles and temporary things going on up and down San Anselmo Avenue. So I think we do need to give some thought to it. I'm not sure that's the EDC's job. It's probably more of a planning job, maybe a one-pager, but that would be my feedback.
Dave, you've got the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that, you know, currently the parklets are being allowed under an emergency order that extends through the end of the shelter-in-place order, the public health order. The town has not yet, as we've talked about, has not yet talked about what we might want to look at long term. And if that was the case that we do, I think we'll definitely want a recommendation of some kind coming from EDC, since it sort of affects our local economy. Sean has been looking into how we might frame the long-term parklet question. There's a lot of things to consider, including design. But just for now, we're basically allowing, if somebody wants to use the front of the spaces in front of their store, they can do that during the SIP. We don't have a lot of structure. We have safety as our main guideline on those. Obviously, he'll just put up the lattice work, and then next to it is this beautiful, Nevin Hawk, soon to be Longway. So long term, we wouldn't have that kind of. It would definitely be more cohesive, and the design guidelines would be very specific. So I think it's important to know that the distinction is that the ones that are here now are on short term. We haven't even started to really bring anything to council what we might be able to do long term.
Okay, Dave. So your opinion then is that you're feeling that the EDC should be involved in some way. Okay, any other comments? And I'm going to just tell you up front, I can't see all of you at the same time, so I'm going to need Benedetto. I see your hand.
I was the last one raising it. I believe Kim was the first, and then John, and then
Jessica. Jessica, I have a question too when you're ready.
Okay. All right.
So, Kim?
I thought Kim.
Thank you. I just wanted to agree with Dave. I mean, right now it's sort of an emergency, but we can't have design guidelines for residential or even commercial residents and then not have the same rigor for the parklets. My concern is that, as Dave mentioned, somebody might have less money, and some people may have more money, and I don't want to see any inequities and have a sense of disparity that would cast certain businesses as having less money. And so, I'm not saying I want them to look alike, but I don't want them to be, one's more fancy because I've got more money, and Dave's is less fancy because he doesn't have the skills. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Jamie, did you have a comment?
John does.
Or John, excuse me.
I just had a question, and it kind of gets to the point that Kim made. Does design, for a permanent structure in a commercial area, does design review apply, or is it just residential, Elise?
Typically, design review applies to anything in the commercial zoning districts. Under normal circumstances, we would review the design of anything. And it doesn't mean it has to go to the Planning Commission for a hearing, but minor things would just come to me administratively. And then other more significant changes could be sent to the.
Yeah, so on the parklet, so during the shelter in place, when the parklets are operating under temporary authority, there's really no design review.
We've waived that requirement, right, for this temporary time.
But once that ends and you get into a permanent situation, then as a procedural matter, design review would apply.
We could require a design review because it's in that district.
Right. And so the question then would be, are there going to, and I don't think we actually have any commercial design review standards today.
I mean, right. We have findings,
so I'm
but
kind of
standards,
right. But if we don't have them today, why would we impose them for parklets on a permanent basis? It just seems a little bit too bureaucratic from my perspective.
I can speak to that. The reason why, because there's actually a group of people in town who are thinking about investing in restaurants and a hub. And one of the concerns is to the extent of, do we want to make investments where the design requirements are sort of nil.
Okay.
Right. So that's sort of that's what's driving it. I think the other thing is that if you have a if you talk to people in the restaurant business, like, parklets are here to stay. Right. So in terms of the long term, right, like the long term actually be sort of fairly short term in terms of, hey, let's really embrace the outdoor seating. So I think that's what's driving for me, just to have the conversation and awareness.
But that point really has nothing to do with COVID. I mean, that's just a question about.
Right.
So it's a separate issue. It's a good issue, should there be design review for downtown, right? Parklets or not, right? It's an interesting question. One other question I just wanted to ask, maybe for Public Works, I was reading, in other parts of the country where weather is more severe, restaurants are already doing a lot of things, right? What about, people are doing tents, they're doing yurts and stuff like that. I guess at some point that's considered indoor, right? So is that the issue? So if you had it would be very expensive to just put a wall, you could have a bunch of plastic sitting around and outside and a heater. I guess at some point it's not considered outdoor anymore. Is that the distinction?
May I? Is that okay? So first, a general thinking about the role of the EDC. I believe the EDC should suggest the town to look into this and take any action, but not to be involved in any planning or in any approval of any design. That's not our job. Secondly, before supporting for restaurants, let's consider every other merchant in town, because parklets on the street, at least on Downtown Avenue, means less parking. So that's going to be an issue once that might be a permanent and not just under emergency rules. Even if the other merchants non-restaurant merchants can do it, at one point we don't have any parking, and parking is always issue number one. So just for us to consider before making any suggestion, which one would be fair to everybody. And clearly I have an interest for my tenant, for the restaurant parklet. So that's against my own, in a sense, business interest, but that should be considered in fairness. And about the walls, when I was talking, just to clarify, when I was talking about the 3 or 4 walls, we don't mean as a group permanent walls. I mean exactly what John was saying, plastic rolling down or up, still temporary, but able to protect from the rain, for example. And even that right now, apparently, is not allowed. So that's a big issue.
So I have a question. When I'm looking at the action plan, the downtown parklets and outdoor seating, the leads are Sean, Scott, and Benedetto. So would it make sense that we have some official recommendations from the co-leads for this particular action item to come up with recommendations on what you want the EDC to do with this situation? Or do you feel that we can, as a EDC, make some decisions right now based on what's being presented?
Can I weigh in on that first?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that Benedetto said to me a couple of weeks ago that still sits in my head really relevantly is restaurants need some certainty, that the uncertainty is very difficult for everyone to work with. And when we talk about money and investments, part of that is held off by the uncertainty. And I feel like we can support the establishment of guidelines without being a review standard, that we can figure out how to push it forward or include things that might not happen for a year or two because they're not problems. Like Brian said earlier, like when he said water, I was thinking, who's going to deal with water? And then I was like, who am I to figure out who's going to deal with water? Like the people who are going to deal with water are going to be the ones who have certainty. So how can we, and I'm just saying that from what you told me, Benedetto, that really set in on my head, like we don't need to be regulators of this. What we need to do is be empowering our restaurants to take steps. And I feel like that's the role that we can fill, is to help them know that either we're lobbying for this effort to be solidified in some way, or that we're somehow guiding the process that they know they should be working on their side also for spring. Because really, spring is shockingly close in terms of planning and how to get there.
Thank you, Jamie.
Can I make
Any
one
other
comment?
comments from EDC members?
This is Kelly. Can I make a comment?
Go ahead, Kelly. You've got
I agree a lot. I agree with Jamie. I think these parklets could be an investment for them. And so I think they're going to want to know, should we just do something really quick? And, maybe like Comforts hasn't really built anything out. They just got some plants and stuff. And then other people are putting in more of an investment. So I think it would be helpful if we gave them some guidelines that they thought maybe they could actually use it beyond COVID. I think that would be helpful for them to have like a longer runway. The other thing I'm a little concerned about is the safety part, especially because some parklet in San Jose just got hit. People drive pretty fast down the avenue. And I'm just wondering if we want to think about any traffic calming a little bit. I know the street is a hot point, but I just really worry now we're getting the parklets and people trying to park, and there's these people that go around the other cars. It's like the age-old problem, but we've added now another obstacle in there. So it just, as traffic maybe picks up a little more and the roads get slick, I'm concerned about that. I noticed MHBB's parklet, they've got really good reflective tape on the ends because they've got metal containers on the ends. And so at night, you know, when you're driving down, it's really apparent there's something there. And then I've noticed some of the other ones don't have that. So I would also like us to focus a little on the safety and just keeping, if people are parking between parklets and things like that, I think that's another thing that our committee could just focus a little bit on and give some guidelines on, because I think that's going to be really important. The last thing we need is a car hitting people that are sitting out in a parklet. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you so much, Kelly. So what I'm hearing so far is that we're looking at creating guidelines during COVID, beyond COVID, and making sure that we're incorporating and addressing safety issues with the parklets. Any other comments from the EDC members?
I have one question. You guys implement something downtown, like you're allowing coverings. Would that apply to businesses on Greenfield and at Red Hill? I know we have a landlord, you know, our situation's a little different because we're public or we're private property, but I want to know what we can do as far as covering and walls too. And we would completely comply with whatever the aesthetic is for the town. But just make sure, like because I just got 2 parking spaces. We're going to put some tables out. But it's completely temporary. Like I'm not spending any money on it because I don't really want to take parking spots, honestly. We have a patio. We'd love to cover it.
I can help answer that one. So, you know, you're basically going to be subject to whatever the state and county rules are. Because you're private property, you're not going to have to interface with us regarding the use of public land, but of course, it's just any building, planning and building issues we can work through with that. So that's kind of how that's going to work. I also want to just clarify, staff's going to be the one that, you know, we'll be working on putting the recommendation for a more permanent solution for parklets, and the EDC will obviously be offering suggestions to that. But it definitely is a staff. You know, the EDC will heavily weigh in with recommendations, but I just want to make sure we understand that the staff will be the ones taking it forward.
Great. Benedetto.
Yeah, one final suggestion, an immediate action that EDC can take if it is within our, let's say, hours, is to write a letter to the county and to our state representatives, as suggested, by the way, by the county. I think Brian can confirm that, asking, you know, a quick clarification of outdoor dining, semi-permanent, whatever we want to call it, structures, because they told us, please be heard by the state. Also because there is I made that point, you know, California is a big state. For Southern Californians in Riverside or Pasadena, winter is not really a big issue. It's maybe 2 weeks. For us, is a few months. So I don't know how they can justify the statewide regulation when we have so many different climate situations.
Thank you, Benedetto. Rich, do you have your hand raised?
Can you hear me? I'm having some difficulty with my technology, so hopefully I'm not making everybody
Any comments?
No, I agree with what people are saying. I don't know that we're the group that's qualified to do those, but I think it probably ought to start with Public Works, and if they want us to weigh in on aspects of it, I'm sure everybody's got an opinion, but I don't know that we have the expertise to start doing at least any of the technical part of it.
Okay, Rich, thank you. So what I'm hearing now, let me just make sure there are no other comments from our EDC members before. Okay. Are there any public comments at this point? on this subject?
No, no one has their hand raised. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. Okay, so what I'd like to put out there then is that the EDC will agree to provide input to drafting what the town is going to be drafting in terms of guidelines for the parklets and the outdoor areas, both within during COVID and beyond, and make sure we're highlighting safety issues. Can I have a show of hands of members that support us doing this? Anybody not? Okay. All right. Thank you. What
Jessica,
about?
can I just close with one last comment, if you don't mind? Yeah, the last comment is, I'll keep it really. So during this conversation, I actually just logged an email back into the county. And to the extent I get an update, Jessica, before the next EDC meeting, I will share that information with you. You're really great about report outs and sharing. So I'll be sure and do that.
Great. Thank you so much, Brian, for taking care of that. So Benedetto, the letter's already been written. Do we want the EDC to write a letter?
I don't know. I'm saying that maybe the more they, the more they get, the more they feel that is a real issue. It never, I think.
I think Brian's input is enough.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Any other comments about this? All right. What I'd like to recommend then is that we don't write a letter at this point, and we can discuss it at future meetings if necessary. Everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Show of hands, please. Anyone not? Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much. Great work, everyone. Moving on to the agenda, I'd like to talk a little bit about what's going on with our fabulous poster sign storefront sign program. What's new, Kelly and Rich?
Kelly, you want to take it or you want me to talk?
You can go ahead, Rich. I'll fill in.
Well, a couple of things. I think it's a program that had a lot of momentum in the beginning. I think that one of the aspects of what we tried to do is give merchants the opportunity to create custom things. We've done a lot of them. Kelly, I have to say that when I go through town, I don't see very many of them posted, so I'm not so sure how effective we're being in that regard. As an initiative to create the energy and the awareness that the town is open for business, I think it certainly did that, and I think it created a certain look to the brand that got extended. Probably the most physical aspect of how we've implemented the brand beyond the signage. As far as going forward, what we've been talking about is how do we extrapolate what we've done that was initiated with the idea of creating awareness for the activity in the town and inculcate it as a part of an ongoing communication program. It's almost like if you consider the word, the use of the term broadside, which is basically putting posters up on the sides of things, to communicate different things. I think we've got the makings of something that can be pretty exciting, and Jessica and Kelly and I have talked about formalizing that as a part of the design guidelines, so it starts to provide direction on how people can use it. By the same token, the idea of people using it, the guidelines would be created as a means of creating some measure of control, but we still have some wayward players who just feel that it's public domain and can do whatever they want with it. So we resolved that we would we'd get the draft of these design guides done for the most part by the next meeting. A lot of it we feel, not a lot of it, but there are components of it that require the input from the town staff because they're going to be the front lines in terms of implementing a lot of these things. And when I say a lot of these things, it's really, I think they've done a really good job so far in terms of how they've, with no guideline, have been able to take Sugarfoot and apply it to the various things that the town has been doing. So we're sort of halfway there in terms of the integrity of the program, and we need to put the dot at the end of the sentence, so to speak, in order to codify these things in a way that people can start to use them. And then the second part of that is, what do we do about enforcement? Do we care, and do we, if people start to bastardize things, turn Sugarfoot into a cartoon, then is that something that we want to concern ourselves with? And I'm sure the answer to that is yes, but the enforcement becomes a little more challenging. So some things to think about. As far as Elise, you had given me a request for some that could go, which this is a good example because it's a place where they can start to become a part of the everyday communication tool for the town. You had requested some options to hang in the office to get people to be a little more patient when they're waiting at the counter. I don't know. I never heard back from you, so I don't.
Sorry.
know.
Yeah. I'll get back to you about it. But
Okay,
yeah, the hope was that to.
As an example of the kind of ways that we can use this, to just put messaging out that in no uncertain terms says this is almost official communication from the town. That's one of the things I suppose we should talk about relative to this notion of enforcement and just awareness.
Okay, thank you
So that's
so
where
much.
we'll have this draft done by the next meeting. We'll have it distributed before the meeting so everybody can take a look at it. But as far as Jessica and Kelly and I acting on trying to pursue some of the nuances, that we can move that forward too.
Thank you so much, Rich. Comments from any of our EDC members or questions of Rich or Kelly?
Kim has her hand up.
Kim?
Yes, this is for Rich or Kelly or both. Is your design trademarked?
No.
It's copyrighted.
Okay, so it is copyrighted officially.
Yes.
Okay, fine. I wasn't curious how that would
I believe
handle.
has the copyright correct?
We've used the copyright. Copyright is kind of a loosey-goosey thing. Trademark is a whole legal process.
Right.
So we can continue to put the copyright symbol on things that we do and hope that that's enough of a deterrent to people running off with it. I mean, for example, if somebody decided, gee, I'm going to do a whole series of swag for the town, and I'll just start producing T-shirts, and I'll create my own separate business, but I'll just take the deer and do what I want with it. What kind of rights do we have? Cease and desist in that regard. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know, but that would be interesting to explore as a part of just codifying and implementing these guidelines.
Any other comments or questions from committee members? I'm going to actually just share that I think that this is one of the most innovative programs that's out there, and it really shows the type of people that live here in our community that are volunteering their time on, like, for example, Kelly and Rich, this program would have cost the city a huge amount of money if they had to pay for something like this to be done. And, with the in-house printing of it, it's a very cost-effective community project. And I just love this project. I see it ongoing. Jamie and Rebecca and I are going to talk about the onboarding program in a minute. We've got some ideas for additional signs, but I just really want to just say thank you. I just am so impressed, and I just really look forward to this program continuing and just growing. So,
well, I think we're all really excited about it, and so if we can give it a new shot of energy, that would be great.
Okay.
I do want to mention too, there's a new cafe opening. Is it DG Cafe?
D&G, I think.
Yeah, so he's asked for custom ones, so we're kind of starting to work with him a little bit, but maybe we can test out some of the opening posters or something with him. We haven't yet kind of come up with that yet, but anyway, he's game to have some stuff, and he's got a nice window front there if he'll allow us to do it. So anyway.
Thank you, Kelly. Any other comments from committee members? Any public comments?
I am seeing.
Any public comments? No? Okay. All right, so Rich and Kelly, I'll put you on the agenda for our next meeting to talk about your recommendations for guidelines regarding this program. And again, wonderful job. Thank you. Okay, the next part on our agenda has to do with business onboarding and the welcome plan. At our last meeting, we discussed new businesses opening up. We've got several opening up that have opened up that are coming in. It's very exciting. It's like a recovery. It's a wonderful sign. We just opened up Curate Studio, and then we've got the Bella Studio in Red Hill. We've got the D&G Deli that's going to be opening up. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was, because of the fact that these businesses are opening up right now, we thought we're going to get going on this right now. And so we've drafted a plan. We sent it to you late last night, and I apologize for that. And we're going to start off by talking about what the goals are for this program. And I always ask the $1 million questions. What are the $1 million questions? And so the questions for the goals are: how can the EDC in town welcome our new businesses and help them achieve sustainable success? And what information should new businesses know? And how do they want to receive this information? And so there's several steps that Jamie and Rebecca and I discussed, and Elise and Carla and Helen have been involved as well. And we consulted with Mark Cooper, the leasing agent, who has a lot of open properties for lease. And these are some of the steps that we're proposing that we follow. And the first one is that we feel that we want to make it so that it's very easy for people to know how to open a business in San Anselmo and what are the steps that are involved, and to make it so that there's clear expectations coming from the town around what those expectations are and what approximate timelines are, and then also have resources that will help a new business owner open their business successfully and get going. And so the first thing we thought about was creating an online town EDC business resource center on the website. Now, we started a new resource center during COVID-19, and the town also has a lot of wonderful information already on its website. But what I felt was really important is that we put business front and center. And so as of last night, and Carla, I hope you're listening, we now have a business tab on the homepage up at the top. We mean business, and it's there now. And so what we're going to be doing is creating various sections that will be simplified, like a flow chart type approach, where we have the various steps that are involved and links and all sorts of information. And so that actually has started, we've started work on that already. And I'm really excited about this. We're just moving forward. And, it's like including the steps, the contacts, the resources, the calendar. For example, Rebecca has said, wouldn't it have been nice when I got here to know what the sporting event calendar was, so that I know what my marketing should be focused on, and have information about EDC and other support in the San Anselmo area. So that's in process right now. We're going to just really make it a one-stop shop design, involve a lot of stakeholders in the design of it, and we'll have a presentation and some recommendations to you on what we think it should be by our next meeting. The next thing that we're working on was to create a postcard type of handout that will be at both of the counters, both planning and building, which, it'll be kind of like, and Rich, I'm going to need your help on this, interested in opening a business in San Anselmo, and we want it to be branded. And it would have information about the new business resource center on the website, key contacts for planning and building, and EDC, the EDC mentor, which we'll talk about a little later. And it'll be available as a handout for staff to hand out and anybody to take. The other thing that we've just implemented, and this was as a result of a conversation yesterday with Carla and Elise and Helen, is that we want to know what businesses are going to be opening. And we want to be able to know that information when they start taking out permits. Permit applications are being filed. And so Helen and others are going to actually commit when a potential business goes to file permit applications, we're going to be notified with that information so that we can automatically start the outreach and the mentoring from the get-go. And so what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca and Jamie to talk about the mentoring program and then needs assessment surveys of new businesses. So Rebecca and Jamie, you guys have the floor.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know Jamie and I met for a long time. We talked about questions to do a survey of businesses that opened within the last year and see how their experience onboarding was and the positives of that, keep best takeaways from that, and how we could have done a better job with helping them feel welcomed in the town and have all the resources they needed. So Jamie and I are working on solidifying a survey that we will send out. I believe there was like 17 businesses that would apply to. But right now, on a more personal level, we're reaching out to the businesses that we know just opened or are about to open. So Bella, I've connected with. I've become kind of a mentor to her at Red Hill. I know Curate Studio, I need to stop by there. Jamie and I have connected now with the DG Cafe owners, and they plan on opening in about a month. So it's good timing for us to really be mentors for them. And then I did hear about, through Elise, another business called SAAS, which is like a gift store over near Sugar, right? And when that store also, Sugar is also looking, I think, to close. So there's a lot of change going on, and I want to make sure that sending a survey is one thing, but actually having a conversation with someone and putting a name and a face together is something I feel really passionate about, and I'm willing to be that person for the town. And I want to know, we want to know who's interested in opening here, so we can make sure that they know the dynamics and they know who the people are, and they know they have mentors here to help them get started. So I don't know, Jamie, if you want to add anything. We haven't solidified the survey, but again, we're going to send it out to people. And then as we talk to businesses like DG Cafe, help us with the survey questions as well, because that conversation is going to be really helpful for us to know what kind of hurdles that businesses are having when they try to open here.
Jamie, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I have a slight concern that keeps sitting in the back of my head, that in the end, all businesses are going to say the same thing, which is bring me people, like bring me people to my business. That's like the hardest part of getting started. Like, who knows you? Do you exist? And you get through your permits, you get open, and then like there's a bitterness that I feel like all businesses have of like, nobody helped me. Like in the end, like I had to go find my people. I had to go. Every business has to kind of go through that. So while we can provide a lot of assistance in getting open, I feel like we should really stay far away with like a 10-foot pole from being the bring people to a business. And that's my own personal issue that I mentioned, but like, the concept of someone's handing out cards and they say, oh, will you hand out some cards for me? I'm now the person who says, please give me 3 cards or give me 2 cards, like knowing that those are the ones that I can hand out for them. I don't want a stack of cards that I throw in the garbage 6 months later. So that's kind of what I'm just trying to input in is that like we can ask questions, we're going to find some common things that we can help with and continue to push forward. But I do think we should be really careful not to set up this scenario where we're this funnel of people to businesses. I just don't know that we can deliver on that or that we should.
Thanks, Jamie. Okay, the next part of
Kelly has her hand up. Sorry to interrupt.
I just make one more comment too. I'm also wondering, I mean, at some point the chamber interfaces in here too. I know this is all the EDC, what we're doing, but it seems like to that point, this is where the chamber might also come in. I don't know. Have you guys talked about?
We are actually, and I've brought this up a couple times, I have not seen a marketing plan from them. It's been several months and we're still waiting. What we're proposing right now with this program is to help use the town to launch and let people know that this business has opened, but not take on the role of acting as ongoing PR and marketing. I can't myself provide pro bono all those services, but I think it's to be determined. I have not seen a marketing plan yet from Chamber. Benedetto, do you have anything to, I mean, when are we going to see a marketing plan? Are you guys going to have the EDC comment on it, or what's the plan with that?
I don't see Benedetto on the call anymore.
Okay, so I'll reach out to him offline. John?
Yeah, I wanted to thank Rebecca and Jamie for what they're doing. This is just a fantastic development to have people really representing the town. I mean, you're doing this with an EDC hat on, which is fantastic because there's been such criticism over the years. You know, the town doesn't help me do this, the town doesn't help me do that. And yet the town does do a lot of things. We just don't market what we do very well. So I think it's just fantastic that you guys are taking this on. I really want to thank you.
John. The communication piece, the plan is that any new business, we're going to really take seriously about announcing that business is opening. And we're going to use a broad spectrum approach. I will take the lead on it. I will be responsible for taking care of this. You know, it's going to involve like launching, you know, in the newsletter. We've got social media. We're really moving fast on this. We've got EDC social media being, it's already launched, and in the process of it, we'll be able to, you know, really try to do a good job with getting the word out about new businesses and really kind of highlight who the individuals are, but also link from the town's website and also the social media to their websites, which actually helps with link sculpting and increasing the presence on the internet. So that will be working on, and we'll share more details on it. So it's really, we're looking at, and the other thing that we previously mentioned is we'd love to have some storefront signs, because again, you know, things become kind of rote when they're up there all the time. And so if we have new signs that, you know, it's like a POW, a new business, you know, new business in town or something like that. We thought that would be a great sort of idea, but you know,
Hey, Jessica, can I interrupt you for a second? I want to be really clear, especially now, Benedetto, you've just rejoined us, that the EDC role in this welcoming is sort of on the front end, you know, when businesses first sign up to join the town, how we can help them, but certainly part of that mentorship and is encouraging them to join the chamber, because once they join the chamber, then they're part of this community. And so I want to make sure that everyone knows we're going to work hand in hand with the chamber in that effort. And you know, what you need before you open the business is different once you do open. So just want to make sure that everyone knows we're partnering with the chamber on that piece, and we're not, you know, we don't want to duplicate efforts, and we don't want to step on anyone's toes either. So part of that handoff will be encouraging them to make sure they know there's a chamber, how to join it easily, how to join in those Wednesday meetings that Pat and Benedetto run. Every Wednesday there's a business meeting. So all of those things are really important. And I'm thinking our role is more on, you know, 1 or 2 months out before they open. How can we help that process be a little smoother? And that's it. So
Thank you. And Benedetto, it would be really helpful to get a copy of your plan, what the chamber is planning as a result of like the small business fundraising effort. I know that there was a lot of money put aside for that because we don't want to duplicate efforts. I think there's enough work for everybody to be working on, and I think we don't want to work in silos. So you and I can talk offline about that, maybe with Pat as well, okay?
Yeah, we have not done the plan yet. We are getting information, so this is very useful. Thank you, Rebecca, for your comments. And the chamber has always supported the town to have a point of contact for new businesses. So we are only happy if this is improving what is already happening. And I was cut out when Jamie was saying about probably everybody is going to tell you the same. You know, regulations, overlapping of authorities, in my opinion, it is the biggest issue because the town, fire, health, county, all of them have their own proper rules. Everybody's doing their job properly, but all together they add up. You know, more than two combinations is impossible to manage mathematically. So that's, I believe, would be a streamlining of the helping out the streamlining of the different agencies and when each one is involved and has a go, no go. That's really, in my opinion, the biggest issue. But thank you anyway.
Thanks, Benedetto. Are there any other comments or questions?
I have a couple of comments, Jessica.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so just one, you know, I don't think the businesses really appreciate what kind of heavy lift this is for a town of 14,000. Okay. Like really, you know, many thanks to Rebecca and Jamie and you, Jess, for really sort of taking this on and partnering with staff. This is the province of much larger communities. I also really want to thank Rebecca for her delineation between where the EDC work stops and where the business's responsibility and the chamber takes over, right? That is to say, I appreciate like everything that will be happen, but I still think a lot of the challenges have, and this goes to Jamie's point is, hey, it's really great you want to open a business. What is your business plan and how are you actually getting people to come into your business? And the EDC's efforts, while certainly admirable and incredible, are only an adjunct to that. So I will be sort of keeping a careful watch on this only to make sure that people understand that, you know, what this committee of volunteers is doing is frankly extraordinary. Mm-hmm. And when, you know, whatever the lift is, you know, we should be thankful for. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Or, excuse me. Thank you, Brian.
That's the second time in the last 72 hours I've been mistaken for John Wright. That's incredible.
Well,
I feel so lucky.
I'm sorry. I've had like about 3 hours sleep last night. So.
Right, all right, Jessica.
You wish.
So any other questions?
Kim has her hand up.
Kim?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to sort of piggyback on Brian's comment and probably others. I happen to know Stacy Kaplan. Hold on a second. Sorry. There was drilling. There was some sort of like noise outside. I happen to know Stacy Kaplan, who's opening Bella at Red Hill. My daughter went to school with her kids, and so I know her on a personal level. But I didn't tell everyone that when she decided to move, she was just hammering me like on a daily basis to sort of help her with her marketing and, you know, like asking me to post when her business was opening on my Instagram account, or, I mean, it was like she wanted me to be her personal town marketing consultant. And at first I was okay with it, but it felt sort of like pressure. And I don't know if it was because I was an acquaintance or because I was on the EDC. So I do think that there's some boundaries we have to be careful about. Just because, you know, even if we were getting paid, I don't want a conflict of interest in terms of my role with the town. And I'm still adamant that every business that opens should have their own plan. And we are just, you know, here to support them in certain ways. But I don't want to be harassed is what I don't. That's my comment.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Any other comments before we turn to public comment on this? Okay, anybody from the public that would like to comment on our proposal for the onboarding welcoming program?
I am seeing no one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'd like to put it out to EDC members that it's noted that we want to have clear guidelines and in terms of what we're going to do and not do and where the barrier cuts off and really where the handoff is to the chamber and to the businesses themselves. But is everyone okay with us moving forward with implementing this program as discussed today? Can I have a show of hands of everyone that is okay with it? Okay, anybody not? Okay, thank you so much. We will get going on moving forward with this program. And thanks, Jamie and Rebecca. It's been wonderful working with you. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the business license program. We had spoken last time about, you know, the dream, the best wish in terms of getting demographic information and contact information to be able to do outreach to businesses would be through a business license program software system. Given the time frame and also the cost, the expected cost of this with COVID related budget concerns, we're not going to be pursuing that at this point. What is going to be happening is business license renewals are going to be going out before Thanksgiving. Elise and Carla and Helen and I met via Zoom yesterday, and we discussed having an insert that would go in with the license renewal. And so we are currently redesigning that as we speak, and it will anybody who is renewing their license will need to provide us with contact information, such as their email address. And then also we're going to be asking that they define the type of business similar. We've got categories similar to what we did on the needs assessment survey for COVID-19. So that's the update on that. Are there any questions or concerns with what we're doing? Comments? No? Okay. All right, thank you so much. And I want to give a shout out to the town staff that we've been working with. It's been all hands on deck with everyone with trying to get this EDC and the projects going. And I want to let them know how much I appreciate their time, especially with the heavy load they're carrying right now. So we're going to move to something that's whimsical and fun and art. And I'd like Danielle to report out on how is it going with the utility box painting project, the beautification. Danielle, can you report out? You need to unmute, Danielle.
Sure, it's going great. I just saw an artist working on a box right here next to the Recreation ICC Center yesterday afternoon. Everything should be complete by the end of October. And as you can see, they're going up one by one. And so it's a very successful project.
Thank you. Any comments from committee members or liaisons? I think they're wonderful. That's my comment. I really love seeing art, and you know, again, it's changing the face of the downtown, and it's really in a time of stress, art has a way of uplifting people's spirits, and I love it. So any other comments?
I would just add that the Arts Commission is doing an amazing job overall. They have a lot of other ideas going, and I think we'll see a lot from them in the coming year. So they're not done, they're not stopping with the boxes. So we're very lucky to have them.
Yeah, I have a quick comment. I just want to double down on Danielle's comment. And it might be interesting just to get Carrie McHugh in one morning, just to speak for 10 minutes about her vision for art and public art in San Anselmo. Because I think we all realize there's a real interplay between economic vitality and public art. So I mean, you might consider that, Madam Chair. And thanks, Danielle, for the report.
Sure.
Thank you. Any comments other than what's been said?
It'd be helpful if people share out the GoFundMe. If you see that, it got a little bit of response, but it's a just nice to see, for people to see that it's a collective effort of people to get this artwork installed. So, you know, if you notice it, there's a link up. The Arts Commission put it up on Facebook. It's in the San Anselmo Stars group, but hasn't gotten as much interest as I thought it would be. But it seems like it's a nice positive way for people to contribute.
Thank you, Jamie. Any other comments?
I have a question. Is the Arts Commission in charge of the downtown mural that we talked about last month, or is that completely separate?
I'm not sure which.
I think they're looking at downtown murals. I do believe they are. Because Carrie asked me to put her in touch with some of the landlords, if that's what you're talking about, on the sides of the buildings. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had some interaction with Carrie too, giving her some information on how to, ways to execute it. So I think they're very much involved in that.
We are actually working on public art as an option with murals. Right now, it doesn't work within the town ordinance. And so Elise, Dave, and I have been meeting and working on a way to help them move forward with that idea and execute it. So I think that when I said that we can expect to see more from them, that's what I was referencing. And I think after the first of the year in January, we might have a path forward for that. So, you know, yeah, it's great that Carrie's out there looking for suggestions and feedback, and we'll see more things.
Thank you, Danielle. Any other comments before we turn it to public comments? Okay, anybody from the public that would like to comment on the public utility box painting project? No? Okay. We'll move forward then to communication and PR. We talked a little bit about the New Biz PR and marketing program. We're going to be completely redesigning the town website for business. So it's going to be one-stop shopping and really easy to find, front and center. And we're also going to be doing a little bit more in terms of EDC, what we're doing PR and marketing and communication around what EDC is working on, what we're getting done, you know, just increasing our visibility. And so as we move forward, like the newsletters, the one that Elise and I have been drafting is going to be an official EDC newsletter coming out. And we're going to be doing that every 2 weeks, which we've been doing, and social media and all sorts of other things. One thing that I do want to ask approval for is I would really like to, on this website with the EDC section, have photos of who is on this committee, and also a short bio about each member, so that people know who we are as we're walking around town. And you know, we're the outreach people, we're the representatives. So what do the other committee members think about having their photos and a short bio on this new section that we're creating?
Sounds fine.
You're fine, Rich?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems like we did that for the EDC once before. We submitted all of our resumes or bios. I don't know what happened to those, but or what they were used for.
Okay. Any other comments? Anybody okay with it? Think it's a great idea? Not okay? Okay. Any public comment before we move to a vote? Okay, then I'd like to move that put in the website photos and bios of committee members. Can I have a show of hands of people that support that? Anybody not? Okay, so this section, we're moving on, is about new business. Any new business? Anybody have anything to report on new business?
Can we have, Elise, can you give us an update on who's opening? Because there's a whole lot of businesses like Papered and like, I know you guys mentioned a couple of them, but I still think there's even more, right? Am I wrong? It looks like Enchiladas, the bank building next to Enchiladas was rented, and
the bank building next to Enchiladas has a permit they did get a conditional use permit to operate for a medical use. So it's going to be like a, not aesthetics, but yeah, sort of an aesthetics medical. So it's a woman who has an office in San Rafael right now, and she's moving her business to San Anselmo. So there'll be a number of different spaces inside for different kinds of treatments. And then we do have the deli opening, and there's SAS, which is like a card and gift store opening next to Sugar. We did see Sugar's space is advertised for lease. So that's unfortunate to see. And we also saw that PNS, that the paper store that's next to the post office, that space is for lease as well. Yeah. So that'll be another opening. Who else coming in? That's the only ones I could think of, other than the ones we already mentioned, Curate, and then the boutique
anything at happening on
Red
the
Hill
corner,
Shopping Center.
Anything happening on the corner where Georgie and Willow is?
No, that space has not been leased yet. And then the bike shop the 3-ring cycle has not been leased yet either.
Just to let you all know.
But I will report that, sorry, I did do a list of I've been keeping a list of all the vacancies, and I updated it for the update of the draft of the EDC plan. And we do still have a 5% vacancy rate, which I believe is not anything alarming. At the last EDC plan, I had reported a 3% vacancy rate, so it has increased a little bit since we prepared that plan.
Also, just to let you know, Elise and I had a conference call with Mark Cooper, who is one of the big leasing agents for a lot of the property owners in the area. And one of the things that he's going to do for us is he's going to collaborate with other leasing agents and create a Google Docs document where we're going to know what space is available, how much, that sort of thing. And we're actually going to wrap that information into our new business section on the resource center that's going to be on the town website with links to the property listings themselves. So we're going to be doing a really good job of, really keeping us and everybody else informed as to, if you want to open a business, here's some available properties with links to the listings and that sort of thing. So that's in the works, and Mark Cooper is going to be working with other leasing agents to make that happen. And what we're really doing here is forming partnerships with all the stakeholders that should and need to be involved with, helping move businesses into our area. So that I'm really excited to share. Any other comments? New business?
Kim has a comment.
Go ahead, Kim.
One of the reasons I wanted to be on the EDC was because I actually wanted to be a part of bringing new businesses here. And I don't know if we have a connection to a county EDC, but I just feel as if most of what we're doing is dealing with people who, on their own accord, are leasing space here. So I have a question, which is, are we not into commerce, or are we just into sort of like sustaining the commerce we have? Because again, I want to spend my time doing outreach to businesses that maybe are not even here. And how are we communicating on a larger platform to bring those businesses here? Also, I've got to say that Mark Cooper is not the only broker in town. You're completely forgetting about Hayden Ungaro. There's a lot of brokers here who could help us. So I'd like to make sure that we are sharing that opportunity equally. So anyway, because I don't want to spend a lot of time personally working with or about existing businesses and retaining them. I'd rather be trying to bring more business here and working with the county and other entities. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Other comments on Kim's comment? Kim, I think that my understanding is on the action plan that we have.
Somebody needs to mute. Somebody's typing on a keyboard, needs to mute.
Thanks. I have on the action plan, Kim, that you're the lead So I'd be happy to put you on next month's agenda to start presenting a plan of what it is that you're visualizing to present to the EDC. How would that work?
So, I mean, I could present something, but I'm asking, the origins of this committee, which is, again, are we tied to a Marin County Economic Development Committee where we're, again, let's say, for example, I'm making this up, that we're talking about a pretty large property that's available for rent. And do we have a connection with some county entity that's saying, well, let's reach out to Apple, for example, because we want an Apple Genius store here, or we want Nordstrom's here. I'm just making this up, but I'm saying, how are we reaching out to bigger entities with a lot of resources that could drive a lot of traffic and not just waiting for brokers to make those things happen?
My understanding is that we are right now, this is something that Brian has actually also been working on and requesting funding to look exactly at what we're talking about right now. Brian, is that correct?
Yeah, so, Kim, it's an interesting question. And the truth is Marin County has always been far more interested in the environment rather than the acquisition of new businesses. So there is no economic development office at the county level. What passes for economic development at the county level is the Marin Economic Forum, which is more concerned, I would say, about sort of your foundational economic analysis about which businesses are closed. So in terms of actually sort of going out and finding businesses, I actually think that's the missing link at the county level. And in fact, if San Anselmo were to put that together, that would in fact become the template. Jessica is in fact correct. And the county right now is putting together, and has requested funds for such a project. But if those funds materialize, that's not gonna happen until the spring. And I'd be happy to talk to you, Kim, offline about my ideas for, acquisition. There might be some opportunities for partnership with either the San Rafael or the Novato chambers, but there's really not a lot of that going on at the county level at this time.
Right, and the reason I bring it up is because obviously with COVID, we're just really thinking about different ways of doing business, and subsequently, more people are going to want to be here than rather in San Francisco, for example. And it seems awfully unusual that we would not have a county level EDC to drive business. I mean, I know people want to be environmentally conscious, but I also want to be generating revenue, which is what I thought the EDC was about, was generating revenue and opportunity for our town and the county.
Thank you. Okay, so any other comments from committee members?
Yeah, I believe that, first of all, Marin County doesn't have so much big office space. There is really 2 properties in all of Marin County who might attract a big employer. And when 2 years ago, somebody from Google walked into the former Fireman Fund, everybody knew it within minutes, in the business community that they look into that. And the brokers are paid on commission and they're out, trust me, Kim, every single day. That's their only thing they do is to try to fill up empty spaces, otherwise they don't get the commission. So I believe the job of, you mentioned Ongar Oede, he has always been doing a great job bringing big companies to town. He filled up an Ongar, I believe, in Novato years ago with some Disney-related digital company. I don't know if we can add too much once we know they are in the market every day. I receive every day flyers about potential, for example, hotel development sites or hotels for sale and all of that. So I believe the market is doing a pretty good job in filling up space. And as Elisa said, even now in the middle of COVID, the occupancy rate of our commercial space is pretty good, actually. It's not so dramatic, not so bad. So I don't know if our effort would add anything to what the professionals do every day for a living.
Thank you, Benedetto. Any other comments from committee members?
Jessica, John Wright, just a question. So I know you're going to be presenting later this month to the council, and at that point there'll be we'll see the new action plan. I noticed that what's posted on the website now is the February action plan. Is there in fact something? Is there a new draft action plan
Yes.
that's going to be posted?
Yes, and actually we're putting the final touches on it. It looks, what we've done is we've taken Richard Berkson and Elise and I are working on it. We've taken the recommendations. I think Rich, you were the one that said I want space for putting status. And so what we've done is we've redesigned the look and we're simplifying it. And so that actually will be sent out to all committee members and liaisons prior to the presentation to the council. Okay.
Thank you.
So that everyone can take a look and let us know if there are any, changes. But everything that is on this this action plan has been approved by committee members, and I want to thank the committee members. And we're gonna actually end on time today, because the last few previous sessions we spent a lot of time hashing out the action plan and the items, and it takes time. And so we're good to go, and I think it'll be good to take this plan, and it's a draft, and ask the council what do they think, and then get some additional feedback from the public on it as well. So so does that answer the question, John? Any questions from any committee members before I move on to no? Okay. Just Kim and Brian, I'm going to add you guys to the next agenda about the topic of acquisition. All right. And if there are any other commercial leasing agents that you think that we should consult with in terms of, because we're data gathering at the moment, we want to make sure that we include everybody who should be included in this. So please feel free to forward contact information to me and to Elise on this. Okay. So is there anything else that we need to discuss before we move to public comments for final public comment? Okay. I would like to.
Richard does have his hand raised. Richard Berkson.
Richard, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Jessica, for running a very efficient and productive meeting. I was, and this topic just came up, I was interested in items 4 and 5 on the agenda. I don't know if you did briefly touch on the action plan update, which I corresponded with Elise a bit over the weekend. So I was curious about what was going on there. And also just to follow up on your comment to Kim that it is a very important element of the action plan does relate to attracting a mix of businesses that are good for the town. And so there is an action there. And I would just like to reiterate the importance of that. And it's obviously related to what Brian is doing at the pursuing funding at the county level, but nonetheless, I think it could and should continue to move ahead. So I wanted to make that comment. And so again, just a question about items on the agenda. There's a town council presentation. I'm just curious about what that will be, and also the ongoing status of the action plan update.
Okay.
So, thank you.
So I'll address the request from the town council. It's going to be, first of all, to report out some of the key highlights and projects that were implemented over the past year, because there's been a tremendous amount of work, and we want to share with the council what this EDC sponsored and what we got done, and we've gotten some amazing projects done. The second part will be to take the draft of the action plan and go over it with them. And Richard, you and Elise and I are going to, in the next day or so, put the finishing touches. I've got the latest draft that Elise sent to me, And so what we're going to take is all the action items that the committee agreed to and just make sure the format is correct and then send it off to everybody. Okay, and so that's the plan for the council meeting.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
And also,
And Richard, I'd also like to thank, I'm looking at this plan, and I just think it really has incorporated, you know, there've been comments from the committee members on what we wanted, and you and Elise have really done a really outstanding job, and I look forward to working with you in the next day or so to put the finishing touches on it, and then emailing it out to committee members as well.
okay, terrific. Just one last item. Also, I'm helping with revising the economic development plan, and Elise has started on that. And so I was kind of curious what the schedule is for producing the revised plan and presenting it to the council.
I think that we're going to need to work on, I don't have the latest copy that you guys are working on. And so I know that there've been some changes that you guys are making to it. So what I'd like to do is put it on next month's agenda for November. Would that give us enough time to finish drafting it to send out to committee members?
Yeah, we'll certainly shoot for that target.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. And
Okay,
again,
thank
I
you.
really appreciate your help. It's just been, you know, a band of like really talented, committed, and caring people about our business community that we're working with right now. Any comments?
I wanted to jump in real quick because I have to jump off to another call. I wanted to first of all thank everybody. This is amazing. We're really cooking on this stuff. What I wanted to mention is, you know, we're going to take the action plan, which is sort of embedded in the overall plan. We're taking the action plan on the 27th to get council comment, and then the second step will be taking the full plan that's still being worked on. The action plan is kind of the, you know, the meat of what happens, but the actual economic development plan, which I think is 2 years old now, that's more of the narrative. Those will be put together and kind of brought to council when it's complete. So the process is for the council to kind of approve the final plan after reviewing the action plan.
Thank you, Dave. Any other comments?
Jessica, can I ask a question? I was in downtown San Anselmo on Saturday morning, about probably around 11 o'clock, and the place was really jumping. I had someone with me who was not from up here and was really very, very impressed and commented on how busy the town is. I'm just sort of curious, is it working? Is San Anselmo alive? That's the one thing that kind of the 50,000 foot level. How are we doing?
Well, I can say that when businesses are opening, like when I first heard about Curate Studio, it was such an emotional response because for me, it was the start of recovery, you know, that somebody would open up a business and get going. I'm gonna turn this over to the town itself, like Dave and Elise. What are you seeing? Because I'm seeing the same thing.
Jessica, could I just interject for a second?
Yes.
Just to maybe level set, and Jamie, you might want to weigh in on this. So the Marin Economic Forum, which I alluded to earlier, I believe almost a third of the small businesses in Marin County, that would be businesses with 25 employees or less, have closed. Now, what they don't know is have they closed temporarily or permanently? And this was as of about 2 months ago. So my perspective, and I'm actually thinking about writing an op-ed, is that all the work that this committee has been doing, which is, and I personally think the point of this committee is actually to focus on improving the business climate in our 3 business districts and empower and encourage entrepreneurs to come here. So I think when you sort of take a look at the signage, right, which is now developing into a sustainable program, when I take a look at what staff has done to reduce the frictions on permitting, when I hear the kind of work that Rebecca and Jamie are doing to help onboard businesses to, you know, work on their foundation of success, I think, in fact, San Anselmo is the template of what Marin County should in fact be doing, as witnessed by the fact that we actually have businesses opening in spite of what's going on in COVID-19. I talk about the park, but I don't want to seem to be sort of be patting myself on the back, but I will give, you know, incredible amounts of credit to Kelly Warner for her leadership and Rich and everyone else in their participation for it. I think the only missing piece that San Anselmo has to do right now is simply go out and focus and attract those kind of businesses that we need. Because I don't think that missing piece will in fact be filled by commercial real estate brokers. I think they, you know, I think they are, you know, it's a totally legitimate business, but they are wholly and simply focused on transactions. They are not particularly, you know, focused on the mix. This committee has tried that. So I think we're doing really great. And I think sort of all the things that people say that are being accelerated due to COVID, San Anselmo already has the foundation in place. We will be the forefront of the economic renaissance in Marin County, without a doubt. So anyway, that's my bit.
Thank you, Brian. Any other comments? Okay, I'm gonna move that we let Brian have the last word at this meeting, and that we adjourn, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Thank you, everyone. Great meeting.
Thanks, Jessica, for your leadership.
Bye.